We almost ready? All right. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday, folks. This is Swaney Queen. Welcome to the Swaney Queen Show. It is Sunday, 10/29, and we are here again for another show, another live streaming here. Before we continue, just want to make sure that you guys all have the connection. It's WOLBbaltimore.com, 1010 AM radio. We can also be found on live streaming 410.Swaney underscore on IG, as well as YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe and click in and ring the bell for the Swaney Queen Show on YouTube. So welcome. Happy Sunday, folks. We're here again. I want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, for the show. Give a thanks to Denmark Fit, as well as Maryland Premier Tag and Title, GYSRF, Get You Some Rich Friends, as well as Queens Quality Painting. Thank you again for your sponsorship. All right, so happy Sunday, folks. I don't have my son with me today, but that's okay. He is on a major mission right now. I want to give a shout out to him and his team, soccer team, the Boys Latin Lakers, for making it to the playoffs. They will showcase and host the first game of the playoffs on Tuesday of this week at home. So congrats and good lucks to them. They will be practicing today, and unfortunately, that is the reason why he's not here with us today. But he's here in spirit, and hopefully he'll be able to get a call maybe on his break or something just to give a shout out to the show. But yes, welcome in. I want to make sure that you know that the lines will be open during the course of this half an hour. If you'd like to call in to give a suggestion, a comment, a word of support, it's always appreciated. Again, the number is 410-481-1010. If you're calling in, 410-481-1010. And today, this Sunday, I want to be able to kind of sit back and talk about fear. Is basically what it is. Fear we have within our lives, how we project them or exude them, and how our kids or receive that level of fear. Let me kind of back up and talk a little bit about, or give you context behind that piece of it. So this week for the Swaynees was quite aggressive. We are in a current college hunt, right? There is a focus on making sure that the next page of Lil Sway's life is continued on through getting a great education at the next level. And so in that process, we have to do a lot of what you have to do in order to kind of pick your high school. Same thing we did there, right? It's just about shopping around, making sure you got a right fit. The school fits the child likes the school, and then you can consummate that relationship as it deals with education. So we went through a couple of schools already. This is the month of October where we focused in. He and I just took a plan to focus in the schools that he liked or was attracted to in PA. And as we go through this list of schools, we were, scheduling the weekends, making sure that we kind of got our days in a row, made sure we met with the college coaches, looked at the curriculum there, of course, looked at the finances for out-of-state students and things of that sort. And then we wrote down our pros and cons. We wrote down the things that we both liked from a student's perspective, as well as from a parent's perspective. And, some of the focuses that I realized my son had was just were succinct to making sure that he had an opportunity to play soccer at the next level, right? So for me, as a parent, I'm always going to support and push my kids to do whatever, my child, my son, to do whatever is necessary in order to, to get to that next level. If if you plan your work, your plan, you can make it happen. If you're focusing in on something and you just hone in on that piece of it, you can make it happen, regardless of what it is. And this is something that I've given to him and embedded with him in a very, very long time. And then as we've gone through these shadows or these school visits, I start to see more and more about the educational system, just a little bit more about certain geographic regions as it deals with colleges. And there was part of me that as we were going through these visits, that became a little fearful. And what was I fearful of? Well, fearful of the environment, fearful of the fact that my son's going to be going somewhere, could be 2, 3, 4, 5 hours away from home, right? The birds leaving the nest, right? There's some type of fear that came over me because it was one of those things where it was just like, well, let me find out, what if this doesn't happen, right? The what if started to focus in and or weasel its way in. And so what I did was try to have to kind of sit back and reserve and understand what it was that I was feeling, more importantly, why I was feeling that piece of it. And one of the first things I had to do was just admit that I was a little scared at this time for, one, my son leaving the house. He's, it's getting to that point. He's becoming more independent, of course. He's 18. We're doing so many things, but a lot of things he's doing as on his own. And there is, for lack of better terms, a fear for cutting the umbilical cord, right? I mean, even though figuratively speaking, we don't want to let go of our kids, but it comes a time when you have to. So you want to try to give them, of course, the best, or at least I try to give them the best opportunity of choices moving forward. And part of those choices comes through shopping around, finding out what fits for you, so on and so forth. So without naming names, we went up to a couple schools and saw there were good things about each of them. Saw that there were some challenges that we had for each of them. But what I realized was the fact that my son was moving in a way of no fear. There's no setbacks. There's no commitment yet. We're just shopping around. He had a very good outlook on what was happening. Me, myself, I was just like, oh my God, he might move here. What if, And instead, I started to just say, you know what, let me relax myself and let me just enjoy what's going on here. And so we sat down, we watched one of the games that was being played. At this point, this was a Division II school that we were shopping around or looking at, and had an opportunity to meet with the coach. And while he loved the aesthetics of the area, he loved everything that was producing. It was just one of those things where it was just like, this is not enough for me. And I was just like, wow, I was taken back. It was like, okay, you want more than this? I love it, but in my mind, I'm sitting up like, well, if I'm scared in this piece of it, what else is next? And so while PA was the focus for October, our next month and the next couple of days, we'll be focusing in on the Carolinas. There's an opportunity for him to want to go south, and he wants to explore those things. So I said, what a great conversation to have this week on the SWAYNEE Queens show, just to, one, talk about each other's fears, to be able to examine what fears you may have as listeners. If you can chime in and be able to add on the chat on YouTube or call in itself 410-481-1010 to explain and talk about what your fears were, what kind of fears that you had, and what you had as it deals with, raising your son or daughter, as it deals with possessing or pushing fears on to them. I went to the definition, as I like to do from time to time, just to kind of understand the word itself, understand what I'm dealing with, right? And, what is fear actually? And as a noun, it's an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous or likely to cause pain or a threat. He is prey to irrational fears, was the comment in that noun description. In the verb description of fear, it's be afraid of someone or something as likely to be dangerous, painful, or threatening. Like farmers fear that they will lose their business. Right? I'm a big acronym guy. And so acronym, of course, for those who may not know what that is, of just being able to give labels to the letters in a word. So fear, F-E-A-R. One of the things that I used to live by and kind of teach out to my team in business was that fear is nothing but the false evidence of things that appear real, right? So as it deals with fear, I'm looking at the fact that it's appearing like my son's going away. He's leaving the nest. And that's just false evidence, right? It's just the fact that he's going to a school, he's going to college, but he's not leaving me. He's not going anywhere. So how dare me to be able to push my fears on him, right? To think about the distance. When I think about when I finally left the nest, my first spot was Kentucky, of all places. I stayed there and lived there for 2 years. And it wasn't that I was any less connected to my mom or my dad. It's just that it was my time to go ahead and leave the nest for a moment. And I think that that's what we're dealing with, or at least that's what I'm dealing with as it deals with SWAYNEE and moving on to the next level. And it's exciting. It's scary. It can be challenging. The unknown of what's happening. This is my first time going through this piece of it. And so I said, you know what? Good, bad, and ugly. We want to be able to talk about our emotions, right? The things when we're up, how we're high on when your kids are doing great. But what happens when you or yourself or you or your kids themselves connection-wise between you two aren't going great? Or maybe there's a fear there that's blocking certain things, in the process of you supporting them. And I said, let's talk about that, right? Let's just have a communication about fear itself. It seems like we have a caller in. I want to be able to make sure that we address any and all calls coming in. If you have a call, you have a comment to say, 410-481-1010. Caller, you're on the line right now with the SWAYNEE Queen Show. Outstanding. How are you? Yes, ma'am. Yes. 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 Yes, ma'am. That's right. That's right. I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you a question. You have children of your own? Okay. Very. Okay. They're the same thing. Do you? Hmm. No. How powerful is that? That's amazing. Yes. It's like keeping your guard up. Correct. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Right. What about the Southern hospitality that everybody talks about? Mm. Is so. Let me ask you, caller. Is that where we come in? Is that where uh, folks like my son or your nephews or nieces that may want to challenge that system and go there? Is that okay? HBCUs. Congratulations to them. That's awesome. So that's what you mean. Okay, but well, folks didn't step out their lanes, we wouldn't be, I guess, as advanced as we were. Is there ever a right time? Is there ever a perfect time? Okay. Well, I love it. Hmm. Everything that glitter ain't gold. That's right. That's powerful. I love it. Okay. But you went to school, you got that extra education. It doesn't really matter at the end of the. That's awesome. No, they don't. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hmm. Oh wow! Congratulations! Thank you for your service. Said it wasn't for you, huh? Well, that's awesome. That's wonderful. I want to thank you for your comment. I want to thank you for calling in, ma'am. Oh no. Yeah, I don't take it as that. Like you said, you were big about choices. But at the same token, what I got from it was that it's okay to be fearful. What you need to be fearful is to be able to protect your own. And I appreciate that. I absorb that and I receive it. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you for calling in. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And I thank you. Well, I get it honestly. I get it from my dad, right? See if it's a trickle down effect. And that's the reason why we even have this show, ma'am. Thanks for the call, and we appreciate you. Have a great day. Yes, ma'am. You do. Bye. All right. It's 10:10 a.m. WOLBBaltimore.com. We're taking calls from all listeners. That was just a great comment. Just a great food for thought, right? That's the reason why I bring it up. It's discussion time, being able to find out how we can do things better, right? What's our best practices? Don't let my fear be pushed off on you. At the same token, the caller expressed the fact that it's okay to be fearful, right? That's a human emotion. It's okay to have that. And it's a part of my protection gauge as it deals with what's mine. So I appreciate the call. Again, 410-481-1010. Feel free to call in. The lines are open during this whole half an hour session of the SWAYNEE Queen Show. So as we were talking about it again, just about fear itself, looking at some staggering numbers here, things we have to go against. There's so much we have to fight against. When I looked at what my son is doing as it deals with even shopping around for soccer schools or, colleges that focus in on soccer as well, have a good soccer program, I started looking back at just some of the odds of a high school athlete making it to college to play, even to D1 or even into the pros. And the numbers are unbelievably staggering, but not to scare anyone, but to be able to be factual about what's going on in society. I mean, right now, as it states, is over a little over 7%. 7% of high school athletes. So that's about 1 in 13 folks going to play a varsity sport in college. And there's less than 2% of those athletes. So that's 1 in 57 going to play in an NCAA Division I school, right? So, I mean, and I'm talking about in all sports, it's relative. Football, you might have over 1 million high school boys playing, but the college odds are 1 in 11. NCAA odds are 1 in 33. Soccer, the sport that Sways in, like 500,000 high school boys, less than 1% will go on to play NCAA Division I ball. It's 100. It's 1 in out of 108. 1 in 108, or 108 to 1 is the ratio as it deals with that. So, the numbers are staggering. Doesn't mean that it should discourage you from supporting or pushing your kid to be the very, very best. But don't have a fear of them not being able to play at the next level. Don't have a fear of them not being able to play at a pro level. Understand what's going on in the right now, have fun, and make sure that they see your support. That's what's really important. Secondary level of education is not really about sports, it's about the education. So, of course, when we went to see some of these colleges as the support system, that's what I wanted to focus on, right? Make sure that they understood that mom and dad are focused on the academics, making sure he's having fun and he has, at the end of the day with athletics, some playing time. I just think that from Sway's end, it was more, let me see if this place fits me. Does it fit my style? Does it fit my swag, for lack of better terms? And I love just seeing that digest and seeing him kind of absorb everything that's around him and see what his options are. And as the last caller spoke about, understanding his choices, right? We'll do PA this month. We'll do North Carolina next month. December, we'll do HBCUs, or January, we'll do Florida. But we'll take our time. We'll walk down the hill and make sure that we see every college that there is to see. That's his focus, right? That he likes and that he wants to be able to jump into. So just thought that was fun. Again, thank you again to the caller for coming in. It gives me some food for thought for today. I appreciate that as well. I want to take the time out at this point to I talked about it with the caller on the phone, just how things kind of roll downhill from generation to generation, and made me really kind of back up for a moment and just say, give thanks to my dad, right, for being the father who he was, while things may not have always been, sunshine and rainbows and all that other good stuff, but he was there. He was a supporter. He was an encourager. He was a director, a guider. And, I know, Dad, you're probably listening, so I just want to give you a shout out, give you your kudos, because you're the man that made me the man to make my son the man. So I appreciate you and everything that you do, well-deserved. And you're still doing it, ripe young age in the 70s, right, and still kicking. So just a lot of inspiration that you put out there for us, and I just hope to be able to pass it down to my son as well. So for the listeners out here, what are your biggest fears? What do you fear? I like to be able to know. I want to be able to know your points of how you envision fear as well, and hopefully maybe get another caller in here from that's someone who does have a child that has a perspective on fear and what their biggest fears are. Again, it's the SWAYNEE Queens Show, WLBbaltimore.com. We're at 10:10 a.m. This is a great subject to be able to talk about. It's real. A lot of people don't like communicating or discussing what their fears are. I like putting it on the table, right? Because that's the only way, in my opinion, that you're able to address it, right, wrong, or indifferent. We talked about it today. I had a caller come in and just give me a different perspective on how you look and view fear. And that's how we grow, folks. That's exactly how we are able to be a better society, listening to one another, being able to give good advice based off of life experience, right? I could tell by the caller's voice she's had experience. Whether she has a child or not, who am I not to listen? So I applaud her for calling in. I appreciate her words. And again, it's given me some food for thought as to what's going on. So again, it's the SWAYNEE Queen Show. This is fun, man. I appreciate all the listeners that we have out there. We've been getting so much support week over week. And it's just, again, my time to just say thank you to you. Thank you for, being interested in the show, being able to get up on 10:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings and tune in for a half an hour just to a young Baltimore brother and his son trying to make a difference. And that's what it's about, having conversation, and so much power in words that we don't utilize nearly enough, I don't think, in a positive way. And that's what this platform is about. Sending positivity through the airwaves, making sure that people have some level of information and education about what good deeds are happening for fathers and their kids and sports and life and entertainment, and just to keep that message going. With your responses, with your support, we can maintain this every week for a long period of time. Right now, we have until the end of this year. Of course, we want to make sure that we continue, so all of your calls and all of your messages in. If you like the SWAYNEE Queen Show, you support what we're doing, please make sure that you jump in, you give us a call, let us know so that we can keep this thing rocking, man. I'm loving it, having a great time with it. We have some special guests coming onto the show within the next couple of weeks. We'll make sure that you stay tuned in for that as well. And at the end of the day, never be fearful of being able to start something for you or your child, especially if it's in a positive format, right? One of the most difficult things in doing anything is starting it. And I know that from off experience. And all I can say to you, the listeners here, is that if you're held back by something, if you feel like you're being stagnant with an idea, you feel like you're not really sure as to what the outcome is. If you begin something, all I can say to you is that find out, right? You got to be able to press forward. You got to try something. You got to push forward. You've got to be able to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to make a decision, to find out what your choices are. So I encourage my listeners to do that. Find out what fear you face. Talk about it. Communicate about it. Bring it to the light, and let's see if we can bring some sunshine to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning into the SWAYNEE Queen Show yet another week. We've done a great job so far. We're going to continue going on. My son will be back with us next week, and we will have more content, more information for you from the SWAYNEEs. We've got a good segment that we're going to start up next week. We'll be able to tell you more about it, so stay tuned. It's 1010 AM radio, WOLBbaltimore.com. It's 410.SWAYNEE_ on IG, and it's the SWAYNEE Queen Show on YouTube. Make sure you tune in. We love you. Thank God. Stay blessed. Have a great day.